everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Ariane Zurcher and I'm working on this sixth sphere. I'm going to turn you around and I'll show you what I'm doing and how I'm using it. What I'm doing right now is I am shaping the other big, really heavy gauge wire here. I want one side so that this part is going to be attached here. And then this side is going to come up and should be attached over here. So it's a little tricky because spacing these apart, because right now I have it at 4 and I don't like even numbers. Those of you who know me know I do not like even numbers. I don't want to attach it here because this is already crumbling. I'm already going to lose this, like right there. So I don't want to mess with this bark. And I could have it attach here and then over here, which could also, that could work. Anyway, I have to figure this out. So I need to attach these first because after I do this, that's when I'm going to start creating holes. I just had to show you, I had to pull out my jeweler's saw and all of my rasps because I needed to cut the wire here, this big piece of metal, and I decided I wanted it to join up with this one that I'd already put in here, so I needed to cut them down so that they would join. So I did that, and then this is how this is going to go. And that kind of solves the problem that I was having with the other piece. Now I can do the other piece somewhere else or cut it in half and reposition it, whatever. But I think I'll do 5 spokes in total. This is the piece that I cut off, that I sawed off here. And I may use it, I don't know, for this or something else. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start couching this down with the gold thread. So I'm going ahead and sawing this because it is so thick. I don't have wire cutters that will work. So I've got my jeweler's saw here. And it does work. It's probably not the quickest. But at a certain point I can break it. I can file this or just leave it alone. And I think I can put a little white vinegar on here, although I don't know that it matters because I am going to bend this so that it's kind of up against it. And I may have to hammer this, I don't know, so that it's straight. I'm going to have to see what it looks like on the form. I've got my gloves on because this is super, super rusty. And it kind of comes off on everything and anything. Kind of have this twisted metal thing going like this. And this is going to lay flat. So I have to bend this a little bit. And let's see if that works. That can bend a little bit more. The point is to get this to lie, this little round bit to lie flat. That's pretty good. I'm going to twist this top bit a little bit so this is lying flat, but otherwise it's pretty good, I think. So there we have the inside, and I'm going to cut all this away. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I thought I'd end this video with just some thoughts about listening, because so much of this process for me is listening. Listening to, well, I think of it as listening to the piece. I mean, it's listening to myself, but it's listening to the piece in how it transforms, in the shape that it begins to take, in the materials that I use and how I apply them. So as you've seen, this sphere is different in that I've created a kind of skin around the metal and sort of draped it as one would in fashion if you had a dress form and you were creating a pattern by draping it, perhaps on the bias, which was actually one of my favorite classes, by the way. Donna Karan does a lot of draped designs for her dresses, and they fall really beautifully. They form the body of the person wearing it. When I designed jewelry, I had this collection called Lotus, which I particularly loved because it was so intricate, but the shapes of the metal were all put together with tiny little jump rings. And when you wore it, would absolutely shape to your body, whether it was a bracelet or a necklace. And I just loved that. I loved how it really formed itself. It kind of transformed itself to the wearer, specific to the wearer. And I feel like with these spheres, there's something sort of similar going on in that each one has its own personality. I guess that's really what I'm thinking or feeling as I work with it. This one is not done. I have a lot that I want to continue to do and focus on. If I don't have any preconceived notion of what I'm doing, it's a different kind of listening. I'm listening to the materials around me, and I'm often thinking about color. What's interesting about this sphere is that I'm not thinking about color at all, and I don't like the colors that I'm using. I mean, I don't hate them, but I'm not drawn to them particularly. But I am drawn to the materials. So in this sphere is much more about the materials that I'm using. And I don't even know why that is. Some of this stuff feels inexplicable. It's not something that I can easily explain. It's just a feeling. As many of you know who followed me on this whole sphere series, beginning with the first one, and then as it developed, there's a story arc that's happened. And I'm towards the end of that story right now. This series has a micro and a macro, right? The micro is my own very deeply personal story of addiction and coming out the other side. I mean, that's it. That's the elevator pitch. This sphere is about having made a decision. And now it's that hard work of putting that decision one step at a time into place. It's by the repetition of doing the next right thing, moving towards a goal, but also living that goal. So this one is less about how it looks and more about how it feels. So I wanted that really heavy rusty, I mean, I'm calling it wire, but it's so thick. It's like a rope almost. I wanted that to be featured prominently because it's hard and it's weathered and it's about, to me, it's about determination. It's about the hard work of change. That's what this sphere is about. It's about the hard work of change. And the last sphere is all about community and the world and embracing all of us, sort of, you know. And I guess that'll change, perhaps if once I start it. I don't want to overthink it. That's the micro. So the macro was that these spheres were born out of a feeling of despair, that here in the US, there are a lot of things going on. Anyway, I don't want to get political about all this. But the truth is that these spheres were conceived because of what's going on in the United States right now. This one I want to incorporate sound. So I have those wind chimes, and the one before this, I really wanted to incorporate those fairy lights because they were representative of something that mattered and that was part of the series, and so it's meaningful. So instead of just listening to the materials, I'm kind of directing the conversation in a way that I wouldn't normally do, I don't think, when I'm just kind of working in a more improvisational way. And I'm just hoping this makes sense to some of you out there. So with this sphere, I'm definitely directing the conversation, but I'm also listening to the materials, and I'm trying to take what I hear and honor that. For a long time, this sphere just wasn't speaking to me at all. And so I had to do other stuff. Now I'm starting to hear it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it a bit more. And so I'm starting to get more excited about the different ideas and prospects. Again, I don't know if this makes any kind of sense. This is how I work. This is what I think about. And I don't know that I'm assuming other people, they can relate and perhaps they work this way too. I don't know. But it's interesting, the creative process, because there is this kind of feeling of, I don't know, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's a lot of that. Listening requires focus, and it also requires some time. I can't rush it. I can't hurry it along. I need to be really calm. Yeah, calm. So, I don't know, does this make any sense to all of you? Let me know in the comments. When you're working on something, are you listening? And if so, what are you listening to? Or if this is a completely bizarre and foreign concept, tell me about that. Like, what is that? Does it bring up anything? Or do you just think, nah, no. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, let's keep creating together.